We start with LSU and Texas A&M. I think those of you that listen to this show understand how I feel about Texas A&M. I think there's probably a faction of you that understand how I feel about A&M and are not sure why I feel that way about Texas A&M. It's pretty simple. Some of it is rooted in LSU's interest, and some of it is just my inability to turn off social media and websites. I'm aware of both of them, but they contribute to them. It is my opinion as an LSU fan, and I tell you, every single opinion that I make, every single thought that I have comes from the frame of a Louisiana State University grad and someone who covers that program. I want what's best for LSU. I never hide from that. I don't think it prevents me from doing my job. I think if you understand the lens that I'm coming from, I think I have an ability to kind of look at things fairly objectively, but I'm always going to see things through LSU's eyes. I don't fear a decade-long run of dominance from Ole Miss. I don't fear a decade-long run of dominance from Arkansas, Mississippi State. Look at what's going on in Oxford right now. They've had 2 nice seasons, and their coach may bail for a team down the street. I fear a decade of dominance from A&M. It has never happened in the history of the school. I'm well aware of that. But I see a potential because when you combine recruiting, territory, and money, really good things can happen. They can't happen at other places. West Virginia isn't about to wreck the college football scene. Neither is Oregon State. There's a reason. No good players live around the school. They don't have massive budgets. Michigan State is not about to run through this place. They can pop a good team here, there, but there is a potential in a select few college football programs, and A&M has it whether you like it or not. They just have never realized it. That's hilarious. It's also true. So that's where it's a I don't want to call it a fear. It's an awareness that they're likely going to be on our schedule far more often than not in a meaningful football game. I don't need them getting good. I don't worry about Mississippi State getting good. Dak Prescott may show up there, and they may have some good teams. But year over year over year, it's not happening there. Or in Fayetteville. It could happen in College Station. That's where my interest in A&M is. Is it higher than it needs to be? Yes. Because of the social media stuff. But that's a me thing. I'm just talking about in general. So, this game is always really important to me personally because I want to keep my thumb on them. We've owned them since they showed up in the league. They have 2 wins. One, they were very, very fortunate to get in overtime, and the other one was in a COVID year when LSU had a skeleton roster. Every other year, LSU's taken it to them. Good LSU teams, great LSU teams, mediocre LSU teams, killed them. They hired Chavis to try to stick it to us. Geis ran for like 900. I've loved that. But this one is important on Saturday night. Not just because of me, not just because of keeping the thumb on A&M, but for a lot of reasons. On the front end, it's very obvious why this game is huge. LSU is one of the very, very select teams that has a chance to win the national championship this year. That is inarguable. It is possible for LSU to do so. That will be further confirmed tonight when they release the college football playoff rankings. LSU will be in the mix. So obviously, you go on the road in the regular season finale with a chance to win the national championship. It's a pretty big game. Gotcha. But let me paint a couple of other pictures that don't involve a national championship. And you tell me how significant this game really is. What if you lose it? You still go to Atlanta, and you lose that. Then you go to the ReliaQuest Bowl, or whatever it is, and you lose that. All of a sudden, you've got a stinker of a loss in November to a terrible A&M team that is the worst team in the league. You've got a loss and a chance to win a conference championship, and then you lost a bowl game. All of a sudden, you're 9-5. Now, when the dust settles on that 9-5, You can choose to look at it as a total collapse at the end of the year. You can choose to look at it as success in year one because you laid the foundation, won some really important games, and won the West. But 9-5 is still 9-5. If you win this game, you can go back and frame this thing as 10-2. Yeah, we lost to Georgia. Yeah, we got beaten that bowl game. But 10-2 in year one is pretty good. See how quickly I can spin that? Just because you didn't have the absolute stinker of a loss at the end, nobody's going to bat an eye around here, or should, if Georgia comes out and beats you next week. That may happen. Then you go to a bowl game, it is what it is. But 10-4, with no slip up against A&M and a 10-win regular season, sounds so much better than a potential 9-5, does it not? To me, it really, really does. So we've had this run from September to now where, looking back on it, it didn't feel great after Florida State. It didn't feel great, in some respects after Auburn. It certainly didn't feel great after Tennessee. Some could say it didn't feel awesome after Arkansas, even though at that point you won the West a couple hours later, so hard to really hang your head too much. But as you look back now, almost 100% of LSU fans would say, man, what a really strong run. What a great job. And really the only way that can fall apart is if you lose on Saturday. Because, again, I don't think anybody in purple and gold is going to look at a loss to Georgia and go, man, we really screwed that one up. What a disaster. And bowl games are what they are. Some players don't play. Whatever. That's we're not quite there yet. But this one feels big to me. And I'm confident there will be a lot of Tigers around the Thanksgiving table with a drink in your hand, talking to family members saying, man, have you seen A&M play? Did you watch them last week? Did you watch what Florida did to them? Did you watch how bad Mississippi State? They're terrible. We're going to crush them. And look, that may happen. But it feels to me like LSU's going to have a fight on its hands on Saturday. And in the next segment, we're going to get to some sound from Jimbo Fisher on a number of things, on their motivation level, some injury stuff, kind of where they are. I pulled some sound from Jimbo's press conference from yesterday. But, man, it just feels like the conversation changes if you can't get it done inside Kyle Field, and that makes it a huge game. Doesn't matter how much I dislike A&M or how much you personally care about A&M. You may have all your hatred for Alabama, like the guy who sits in the chair before me, Charles Hanniger. You don't have room for A&M. It's all focused one way, and that's fine. Do whatever you got to do. Some people my age, it's Auburn. Hester, Florida. If you're in your 70s or 80s, you may still have it out for the Ole Miss Rebels. I got room for a lot of people on my board of hatred in the Southeastern Conference, and A&M's right there. I cannot have them, as their player so eloquently stated, urinating in our cornflakes at the end of the year. LSU needs to go out and take care of business in this game against Texas A&M, and my sincere hope is that they will do so. It's a big one, and I think if you cross this hurdle and you get to the end of your regular season at 10-2, it is going to be virtually impossible to go back and look on this season as anything as a resounding success. If you trip up, you may be able to reframe that conversation a little bit.